Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Danger Room. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with Chris Borthick. Today, we're going to take a look back at Season 1 of the Orville. It was a sci-fi show based on a spaceship, a starship, starring Seth MacFarlane. And I think we probably going into it weren't exactly sure what to expect, but now we've had the first season. Chris has seen them all. I've seen a good chunk of them. We're going to kind of talk about what we thought so far, where it's come, where it may be going. So, Chris, take it away.
All right. Well, the Orville is a series set around a smaller starship in the vast Earth Federation fleet that they've got going. Much like it is very much like a Star Trek Next Generation style show where you have a crew full of aliens and humans mixed. Seth MacFarlane's character is Ed Mercer, and he gets assigned during the first of the season to the Orville by the Admiral, who is played by Victor Garber from Legends of Tomorrow. And he's very happy. He's very excited
To finally get command of his own ship.
Yes,
He's had things have been up and down for him. He's kind of been down on his luck.
Yeah, his wife had cheated on him. He walked in on that. He had a bad year, so he wasn't doing very well. So this was a big up moment for him. And they get him on the ship. He gets to bring his friend Gordon to be his helm officer, and so he's very excited. He gets to meet his crew. He meets his security chief, who it looks like a young 20-something teenager named Alara Katan, who is in fact from a race that looks like they have Superman level strength, pretty much. He has a main doctor who I just want to point out, Penny Johnson. Her name is Claire Finn on the show. Penny is a Deep Space Nine alum, so I was really excited to see her back on. She was Captain Sisko's love interest on Deep Space Nine. And then you've got some other people. Lamar, who is kind of the helm navigation guy at the first. We have an alien race of all male.
The whole
aliens.
race is male, but Bortus, he kind of is almost Klingon looking to some degree, but they're all male in their species.
And he's very much dry, almost emotionless in his, not completely, but so he's
his delivery and so on.
He's definitely the quote straight man on the bridge a lot of time, along with Isaac, who is a super advanced android from a race that is just kind of checking humanity out and has picked this particular ship.
Right, but basically hates humanity.
Right.
But is doing his job.
He's doing his job. Yeah, so, and it's all going very well until they send the communication of who the first officer is that's been assigned to him that they're going to pick up. And it is, of course, his ex-wife, Kelly Grayson, who's played by Adrienne Palicki from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A great addition to the cast.
She's fantastic. She was going to be Wonder Woman on that show that didn't end up getting picked up. But she's a great actress, and she does a fantastic job on the show.
Phenomenal job, yeah. And I can't remember the name of the little blob guy who's also
Yaphet or something.
Yaphet, yes, Yaphet. He's also kind of a fixture in the show as the gelatinous alien who, scoots around the ship, saying crass things.
Okay, so that's your
concept.
That's your concept. Jon Favreau directed the pilot, as I recall. So I mean, it's a very well directed pilot.
The special effects are top notch. The sets are really amazing. They are definitely next generation level or above as far as their standing sets. The first episode is a pilot episode, of course. It is overall, I think, a really good pilot. I was telling Matt that one of the things I had to do with Orville, though, I gave myself a 3-episode grace period because while I do like Seth MacFarlane, I wasn't sure how a Family Guy, sort of driven Star Trek-esque show was going to play out.
Right.
So the first episode has a few moments of Family Guy-esqueness in it, I think, that I kind of went, oh no. But I gave it, the first 3 episodes, and the entire season, when you look at it as a whole, has been a really pleasant surprise of science fiction on television once more. So,
see, as a general rule, and this is, I mean, he doesn't need me to like him. I haven't liked most of Seth MacFarlane's stuff.
Sure.
So I was like, well, I don't know that I want him doing a Star Trek type thing. But as I was showing Chris, I saw this clip of him doing a Star Trek show as a teenager,
Right.
like a fan film. So obviously he's a fan of this type of thing. And I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, honestly. I thought it was going to be way too crass,
right.
for me to really enjoy it, but for the most part it's not. I mean, it has its moments, I guess, but for the most part it's not. It feels more like a Next Generation type show than it feels like Family Guy.
Right. And there's some really good episodes, I have to say. And there's some very good, if you're a Star Trek fan, I feel like you would really enjoy this. They introduced the Krill, which are they're I guess the Klingons of the Orville universe. They're the warlike aliens that the Earth currently has to deal with. There's some great episodes in here. Bortus and his mate are on the ship, and they give birth to a female alien, and there's an entire episode about whether they should be allowed to give the baby a sex change because the baby's supposed to be male. It's handled. That episode is one of the early 3, but it was enough of a peek into a Star Trek-esque sort of high concept sci-fi that I kind of went, okay, let's keep going. Let's see what else you guys do. It's a little rough, but it's not so rough that you should not watch it.
I think it's in that same episode where some of the logic doesn't always line up quite as well as maybe you'd like for a Star Trek, but they're definitely trying.
Yeah, they're definitely, and it gets better and better as it goes on. So, there are a few moments where they try to insert some Family Guy humor in, or some ridiculous humor to make you laugh that kind of make me wince. There was an episode called Krill where Gordon and Mercer basically surgically disguise themselves as Krill to go infiltrate a ship, and they've come up with all of this stuff, and as soon as they're greeted by a Krill, Mercer introduces himself as something ridiculous like Bob and Neil, or something stupid, where they aren't even alien names, and that took me out of the moment, really, because I was like, well, you're telling me a starship captain wouldn't have the wherewithal to not fall into, oh, what's a couple of human names? But that episode is really good because it's all about basically they have to choose whether they're going to kill an entire crew, which has families on board, kids, the whole bit, and how, if they can save any of them, etc. So it's a very good episode, but it's that one point where it's like, oh, what'd you do that for? But there's been some great stuff. They've had some great guest stars. Rob Lowe is among them, playing the diplomat who gets sent on board to negotiate a peace treaty. But he is also the person that Mercer's wife cheated with. So there's a lot of twists and turns, and there's a great plot twist in there where he excretes pheromones that make people sexually attractive to him. So the captain ends up infatuated with him, she ends up infatuated with him, and then he accidentally walks into the Blob character, who becomes infatuated with the Doctor. The Doctor becomes infatuated with the Blob character. It's a big old mess, but it's a fun mess. But then there's also some interesting character development as well. And I want to, before I go on, to...
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, it's 12 episodes, so it's not a huge time commitment.
Right.
They've already been renewed for season 2, which I think they're going to do 14. And I read an interview where he says they weren't sure what kind of tone was going to work, but he thinks, based on the response, they can lean even a little more into the science fiction in season 2, which I think, honestly, would be great. I mean, if it sort of almost takes sort of the Marvel movies approach of, like, we're serious about what's happening, but we're going to make some jokes as it happens. That's great. Honestly, that seems like that would be a perfect place for this to land.
Well, and toward the end of the season, they really do play play stronger into that sci-fi anyway, and the characters are really starting to get developed. There is a great episode called Majority Rule, which sees that the ship have to go rescue some anthropologists that have been on a world that's like 21st century Earth, except when people get likes or dislikes on their social media, if they fall below a certain amount, they may be executed, or they may be
they're basically shunned.
No, it's terrible. They're lobotomized, they're changed as people, and
we had a huge discussion about this episode at Thanksgiving.
And the Lamar character inadvertently violates all of this, and he almost gets the ultimate punishment, except of course they figure out they can hack the system and give him more likes, etc. But it was a very interesting social commentary, which is what the old Star Trek was great at. It's like, see how ridiculous this is? Everybody likes this on social media, and so it's super popular, and it's the right thing to do. But 2 days later, it may be the thing everyone hates.
Right.
So, but that's a really good episode. There's a great character episode between the android and the doctor and her sons. They crash land on a planet. The doctor is separated and captured by someone else, and the android has to take care of the two kids, which he's not super thrilled about.
Right.
And by the end of the episode,
into the fold.
Into the fold. He's by the end of the episode, they've bonded with him. He likes them. He actually hangs out with the doctor and the sons a little bit. That you see that happening throughout the season. Later on, there's a great, and I'm going to spoil some of this for Matt. Hopefully,
that's okay.
There's a great Lamar episode called New Dimensions, where Kelly finds out, like, she looks at his scores, like his intelligence scores, IQ scores, because there's a crazy practical joke that they play on someone that just goes awry, and she's trying to figure out how can you be so stupid? And she looks at his test scores, she's like, wait, you're a genius. What's happening? So he is really one of the smartest people on the ship, but he's played dumb so that for his own reasons, socially, etc., because he felt like he wouldn't get in trouble, etc., etc. So she puts him as the acting chief engineer for this episode, where the ship, in another great sci-fi moment, has to encounters a spatial anomaly that leads into fourth dimensional space, and they actually end up going into this I think it's fourth dimensional space. Maybe it's it's two-dimensional space. Sorry, buddy. But basically, anything that goes through this anomaly flattens out, and so it is fatal if you go in there as a person, because the expansion and collapse is not survivable. And he helps figure out a way to boost the shields, etc. And he ends up being the chief engineer after this episode. So, but it was just a surprising, and they do the flat space really well. It's just some really good concepts. And then, of course, the last episode is the episode that I was telling Matt about just before we did this, where it's a Prime Directive episode where they inadvertently expose themselves to a culture. But the twist is this planet that they do this on is an anomaly planet that fades in and out of our space, and when it comes back, hundreds of years have passed. So Kelly encounters somebody and then becomes a god the next time it's around. She's worshipped like Aphrodite, or
because they've seen this advanced technology.
Yes. So, and it's a really well done episode. Overall, I was surprised how much I really liked this show. I'm very happy to hear that he's going to take a more sci-fi approach to this, because that makes me think season 2 is going to be a really good season.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about it. It's and the look is great.
Yeah,
I mean the sets are great. The ships look great.
The science is really actually well done. Their drive is the quantum drive or whatever, but they have really consistent science, which I think is just stuff you look for in sci-fi series. Everything works. There's a explanation, but you don't necessarily have to know all of the explanation. It works as a show. The cast is a really good cast with each other, and by the end, it has the right beat of humor and story that I think if they just keep that up,
Yeah, I think if it becomes... I think going in, I thought it was going to be like a Star Trek parody where they just made fun of all of it. And I thought, well, that could be fun, but it might wear kind of thin.
Right. It's going to be Family Guy in space.
But instead, it's much more just, it's a space show that has some comedy, which I think is a better fit for, I mean, I think fans of that sort of thing. I think they'll enjoy it more than just a straight up parody would be.
Well, and I've had several Star Trek fans tell me how much they love Orville, and there are Star Trek fans out there that are very old school, so they don't like the Discovery, and they don't like the new stuff that they're doing with Discovery, so they have instead moved over to Orville and say, I really would rather watch this. And, that's whatever you like is whatever you like. I like both because, I always like science fiction, and as long as it's well done, I'm going to check it out.
All right, very cool. Well, so we'd love to hear what you thought about it. If you've watched season 1 of The Orville, if you're planning on checking it out or you're planning on checking out the next season, you can send us a tweet at Danger Infinite, or you can email us at infinitedangerroom@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, where you can leave us a comment there as well. We're Infinite Danger Room there. The shows are also released on SoundCloud and via newsok.com. You can also find us via iTunes, where you can subscribe to us there if you'd like, or leave us a rating or a review. And again, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear your take, either about this show, about Seth MacFarlane shows in general, science fiction or space shows in general, or even things you think we should cover in future episodes. We'd love to hear any of that feedback. So, for Chris Borthick, I am Matt Price, and thank you for listening.